35192 to send a text. Mary's in Boston. And Josh Gondelman is going to join us a little bit later on. He's here in town from Boston, but here in town. It's like worlds are colliding, and yet not really.
Ships in the night.
Congratulations to the Guardians, of course. They took that first game in the wild card series. They will play again tomorrow and hope to finish that series. Only 3 games, after all, against Tampa. So 2-1 was the final today. Felt like a quick-ish game.
It was really
It was
fast.
like when they were capping the time played before we came on, I thought he said it was like 2 hours and 37 minutes or something.
Yeah, it was a fast one.
I went to because I got into the studio in Boston at like 11:30
Yeah.
this morning. So I went to walk to this place like a mile away to get lunch, and by the time I got there, it was probably 1:30, and it was already the top of the 5th. I was like, "Oh damn, I better hurry up! Like they're gonna be done in an hour."
I think Bill did the exact same thing.
Yeah, I was watching the game at home, and I wasn't really paying attention to the innings, and then I realized, it's 1 o'clock, and I'm like, it's 1 o'clock, and they're already halfway through this game. I got to get going. So yeah, I came and made it.
So they charged that guy who threw the bottle at Jimmy Haslam at the Cleveland Browns game. He's a Rocky River lawyer.
Yeah.
Ooh, is he going to represent himself?
You know, Bill, they say he who has himself, he who represents
That's
himself.
what they say. He who has himself.
He who represents himself has a fool for a client. Jeff Miller of Rocky River got charged with disorderly conduct. Of course, he was drunk, whipped a plastic bottle. Everybody saw the video, I think, at Jimmy Haslam as he was walking back into the tunnel there at First Energy Stadium. This was in that week that we lost to the Jets.
Yes.
So everybody was drunk. Everybody was mad. He's part of a big law firm in Akron. And they say they're standing behind him. And see, this is the thing. Drunk is the easiest way to keep your job because it's considered a disease and it's relatable, especially at a sporting event. If this guy had gotten drunk and played grab ass with one of his colleagues, he'd be out. Drunk, they go, hey, take some time, dry out. You made a mistake.
You assaulted a billionaire.
A little light assault. No worries. Please. We've all been there.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been hammered at a game and thrown something at someone. That's the part I don't get.
Being emotional about a game you didn't play in.
I get being drunk, but I got to tell you, you either are someone who will throw things at people or you aren't someone who will throw things at people, drunk or sober. Like, I'm not a throw things at people guy.
Not yet you are. You don't know what's going to happen in the future.
I've been pretty drunk in my life. Now, the real flex is if I did it stone cold sober.
There you go.
If I was on my best behavior when I was hammered, because you're kind of so, at least for me, when I'm really drunk, I get all kind of, I really, really zero in, irrespective of how my brain is being altered. If I'm high or if I'm drunk, I'm really zeroed in on how I'm acting. So I'm trying to be polite. I probably raise my voice. I get a little bit, the real Captain Fun comes out. But there are people who, when they get hammered, their brain goes to, it's time to F some things up. It's time to whip things at people. It's time to, Mary just went full tilt boogie to hear her tell it. Like there was no, because you must have known that you wouldn't remember any of it.
Not even that. Not even like I was like, I always thought everyone else was as drunk as I was. So no matter what state of blackout I was in, whether I was tipsy after 2 or 3 drinks or I was fully gone, I assumed everyone else at the bar or at the party was on the same level as me. So
and why did you assume that?
I don't know. Because
it makes you feel better.
Because I'm like, dude, everybody's so hammered. Let's just light this on fire. And everyone's like, yo, you're the only person who's hammered.
Well, that's what I mean. When everyone around you but when everyone around you starts telling you, no, we're not.
But they didn't.
Oh, they
didn't.
If
they did, I didn't listen.
Oh. You don't know how drunk you are, man. I'll tell you how drunk you are.
Yeah.
You want to set something on fire.
Drunk Mary didn't really listen. She wasn't a big listener.
Not a quality that drunk Mary.
I mean, I was around drunk Mare a couple times, wasn't I? When was I around drunk
really.
Mare?
Yeah.
Really? Not full on drunk Mare?
One bar crawl. I showed up late to a bar crawl one year. And by that point, everybody actually was drunk because that's a bar crawl. So I don't
Correct.
think you would have noticed.
But I don't ever remember you making a fool out of yourself.
The year that I wasn't on the Alan Cox Show comedy tour, I think it was 2015 or 2016, and I came to both shows,
stolen.
and my wallet got stolen. And then my way of getting revenge was stealing another person's sandwich.
Oh.
Because I saw their sandwich, and I said, you know what? Someone took something from me tonight. I'm going to take something from somebody else. And I ate a sandwich off the bar that did not belong to me.
What kind was it?
It was like a club sandwich. It hadn't been touched. It was like it had just been sat down. And
Did it still have the toothpick with the flag in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had the toothpicks. It had all the fries. Nobody had touched anything, and I just took it like it was mine. If you do something with enough confidence, no one's going to.
Oh, yeah. Nobody goes, hey, that's my sandwich. They'll go, in their brain, they'll go, well, that must not be my sandwich.
Right.
Who would go and eat my sandwich?
Right.
Who would eat a sandwich that wasn't theirs? Oh, Judy Tenuta died. Judy Tenuta, who would never tell you how old she was. Turned out she was 72. She told everybody she was born in 1965, would make her a few years older than me. She was 72. She had ovarian cancer. And she was always funny if you saw her.
My baby. What a lovely way to say that you are stupid. Let's go back in time.
Judy Tenuta was not for everyone.
Today, I was
It's no surprise or shock that Emo Phillips and her were a thing for a while. They were both Chicago comics. They both kind of came up in the same circles, kind of. They were doing two very different acts, though. When I was a kid, Judy Tenuta she would open for Chicago comics. When they were getting bigger, and then when she left Chicago before I started doing stand-up. But the very first time my parents took me to see a comedian, I think it was Tom Dreesen. You know who Tom Dreesen is?
Yeah, I know Tom Dreesen.
Tom Dreesen was kind of one of these he used to open for Sinatra and that kind of stuff. But he was like a hero in Chicago comedy in like the 60s and 70s. And Judy Tenuta opened for Tom Dreesen. And I thought I was probably 11 or 12. I thought it was the funniest goddamn thing I've ever seen. And then I saw her in high school when she opened for George Carlin. And I was like, something's going on here, you know? And Emo was kind of getting his thing going too. And she was from Oak Park, Illinois, which is it's the first suburb if you go due west from downtown Chicago. You hit the suburbs and you're walking around in Oak Park. And she had ovarian cancer, and she lived in California for a long time, and she died. But I mean, people who were close to her, you see all of them like posting these great old clips of her. And Emo Phillips, of course, who, by the way, has grown that page boy haircut back.
Nice.
For a while, Emo got away from that, and now he's back to it. He's back to the dyed brown page boy haircut. Because I had him on my old show in Chicago many, many years ago, and he had cut his hair short and let it go gray as it was, and he had like this white shock of hair, and he's very tall and he's very thin, and he would speak to you. The most jarring thing is when we would go to commercial, and he would talk to you in his normal voice. Because on the air, he's doing this and doing his whole bit. But he and Judy Tenuta were a thing way back in the day. And so if you were a fan of hers, she was kind of bumping around a lot for a while, not too many people taking great notice of her until they did a show on HBO, I think, that was called Women of the Night. And I remember watching this because there weren't a lot of showcases for female comics. The female comics that you would see pop up at the time in the 80s were like Elaine Boozler. You'd start to see Rosie O'Donnell do stuff. But HBO did this thing called Women of the Night, and it was Ellen DeGeneres. I don't know why I said DeGeneres.
Oh, that
Everybody
Ellen.
knows
Oh, that female comic Ellen. I was thinking the other one.
Ellen Page, right, back then. Rita Rudner. Remember Rita Rudner? Paula Poundstone was on this thing. Judy Tenuta, and then I think like, I don't remember who else was on it. But that's when, because she comes out looking like Carmen Miranda, and she's playing an accordion, and, you know, she just had a very, very wild
Very absurd
vibe. Yeah, very absurd. And so for people who are kind of into that that generation of comedy, that's a bummer. Now, I couldn't tell you the last time I saw Judy Tenuta on anything, but anytime she popped up on something, you had a good time. You liked it. I don't know how long she toured or if she was retired. I don't know. 72. The world's oldest living dog died, too. Pebbles the Chihuahua.
Things just keep getting worse.
I know. First Judy Tenuta, now a 22-year-old Chihuahua. You know, my parents owned Chihuahuas, and now it's left to my mother to take care of the family Chihuahua. When I was a kid, we weren't allowed to have pets.
Because you were all allergic.
No.
They didn't do that lie?
No.
They just said no.
She was allergic.
My
mom. Oh, yeah, of course. My mom was allergic. I go, Mom, you grew up with dogs and cats. That's how I developed my allergy. Okay. And I'm a kid and I don't know. Maybe she was telling me the truth. But as a grown-up, I was like, because a lot of parents will go, I'm going to end up taking this thing out in the wintertime and picking up its crap, and you're going to forget to feed it and blah, blah, blah. That's usually what a lot of parents will tell kids when they don't want to get them a pet is, I'm going to end up taking care of it. My parents did one better. We can't for a very sad reason. I'd love to, but I can't. So we didn't have pets growing up. I had a fish, but I overfed it and it died. So my first entree into,
how's your daughter's fish doing?
Great.
Living?
Fire the fish. Oh yeah, we got a beta fish, feeds it every day.
What a cuck.
I said we should really get an alpha fish,
Right,
honey, and she just kind of looked at me. She doesn't know what that means. But when I started, the very first dog I ever got, I was 21. I got it with my girlfriend at the time. And I was like, this is great. Why couldn't I have had this as a kid? Who knows how my life would have been immeasurably improved as a child, given everything that was going on at school and all that. Who knows what a salve for the soul an animal could have been for me. But we never had a pet growing up. And now Pebbles, just shy of her 23rd birthday. This is the world's oldest living dog. Pebbles the Chihuahua, 22 years old. At her home in South Carolina of natural causes. I don't know what unnatural causes are for a dog. Maybe being eaten by another animal.
A car?
But I mean, cars exist naturally in a dog's world.
Yeah, I don't know if getting run over by one counts.
But if you got a 22, if you have the world's oldest dog, you are going to keep that thing, you're going to keep an eye on that animal every given second of the day. Bobby Gregory was the owner of Pebbles, the now late world's oldest dog.
She likes to sleep all day. She's up all night. She is a wonderful companion. We've got her 22 years ago.
Sleep all day and up all night like Kiss and Slaughter. And oh my God, the heavy metal dog. They're rocking and rolling all night and sleeping every day. And that's no way to, oh God. You know, people go, Chihuahuas are the best guard dogs. Everybody thinks you need a giant guard dog. Chihuahuas are the best because they bark at everything. I go, I don't think that's the selling point you think it is. My parents somehow got, over the years, 2 of the chillest Chihuahuas I've ever met in my life. But most Chihuahuas, if somebody farts, they go crazy.
My friend had a very chill Chihuahua, and he would just, we'd sit on the couch and like watch Stranger Things. Last time I visited her, and this dog would just sit there and cuddle with us. Didn't bark a lot. If you get a good Chihuahua, they're not yippy.
They're fun.
Bad dogs.
Yeah.
My roommate in college had a teacup Chihuahua, so this thing was dinky.
That's too small.
So small, and it was so old. It had some disease where its hair fell out. So
Like the mange? It had the mange?
So ugly.
But it wasn't hairless, so
Yeah.
it wasn't like a hairless cat. It had like a layer of fuzz on it, and it was so small, and it would hide under blankets and stuff that we had to put this bell on its neck because you could very easily sit on the couch and kill this thing. Because it was and its name was Spoofy. So
Spoofy?
yeah.
Get over here, Spoofy. I know you're stricken with alopecia.
little spoofster.
Yeah.
But it would be so funny because it was also pretty active at night. So it would like sleep under blankets and on the couch and stuff at day. And then you would just hear like this little bell running around the house at 2 o'clock in the morning or like
Yeah.
spoofs up to it.
My parents' dog when I would go home, my parents' dog would greet me by running up to the door, barking, and then proceeding to hump my ankle.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I didn't want to, listen, I'm a guy. I was trying to be polite. So I wouldn't stop him. I wouldn't shake him off. I would just kind of do that Frankenstein walk over to the out of the kitchen and say hi to everybody.
My mom and all her dogs sound like a stampede when I come through the door.
Because they have huge dogs.
No, it's 3 small ones.
Oh.
It's, you just hear
It's a
like,
clicky-clacky
Yeah.
stampede.
pat,
Yeah.
pat, 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 and then a bunch of barks. I'm like, what is going on here? She's like, oh, those are my pups. Like, they stick to her. Like, I'm actually worried for my mom's health when one of these dogs pass away because they are like a cult. Like, it's just a little black cloud of animals at my mom's feet when she walks. They go to the bathroom with her. They're sitting in the living room with her. They follow her. Like, when she leaves for work, she has to cage them up because they will leave with her. Like, they love her. So I'm like, geez.
My about a week or so ago, I was joking about how we went to have dinner at the house of a couple friends of ours, and they had put out a Mountain Dew for me and ice, and it was very sweet. But they have a Newfoundland, one of these massive dogs. Her name's Rosie. It's a big, furry animal that weighs about 155 pounds and just lumbers around the house. And I'm like, man, if you were a little kid, you'd be loving life because you could just strap a saddle to this
Oh
thing
my gosh.
and go crazy. It's a huge dog. And they just drool. I mean, they couldn't be sweeter, but they're massive dogs.
They're massive and they're messy.
Our neighbors next door have a giant dog. I don't know what kind of dog it is. It's not hairy. It's a short-haired dog, but it is huge like that. Where, like, if you're standing, it's at hip height at all times.
Mastiff?
And
Like a Great Dane or something?
no, it's like it looks like this dog without the hair, like the same body build, except it's not hairy. I would have to ask him what kind of dog it is. But when I first started hanging out at Brian's house, I was like, dude, that dog terrifies me. He goes, it's the biggest wuss in the world. Like, that is like the sweetest little dog. You got nothing to worry about.
Hey, by the way, Stricken with Alopecia is at the Agora this weekend. I think they're opening that Within Temptation show. So look into that. But anyway, R.I.P. To Pebbles, the 22-year-old now deceased world's largest dog.
Likes to sleep all day. She's up all night. She is a wonderful companion. We got her 22 years ago, and she's been absolutely wonderful. She had a couple of litters in her time. You know, she likes all sorts of food. You know, she's just happy to be here.
So she was a hoe, too.
Yeah, world's oldest dog, not world's largest dog.
Did I say largest?
Yeah.
Sorry, world's oldest dog, yeah.
One of the things I've been doing with my dog lately is when she's all calmed down, in a cute voice, I'll say things like, where's your family? You have brothers
Oh,
and
no.
sisters. You have a mom. They're looking for you. You're not looking for them. Why don't you care about your family?
She just give you like the little head tilt.
Yeah, she's just like, oh, I'm getting loved on right now. But it makes my girlfriend laugh very hard when I go, where's your family? Why
You
aren't
don't
you
know
looking
any
for
of
them?
them, do you?
Yeah, why aren't you looking for them? They're looking for you.
What's the cartoon where they go looking for the journey home or the voyage home or something, or Milo and Otis?
Homeward Bound?
Homeward
Not a cartoon.
Bound.
That's not a cartoon. That's a live action.
The
Is
dog's
it?
talking that one.
Yeah, I think Michael J. Fox does one of the voices.
Oh,
Milo
they
and
don't
Otis-
actually talk.
Milo and Otis
Like-
has a pretty bad track record with the pet safety because it was filmed in, I want to say, Japan or Korea or something. And Zachariah talked about this. He said that they would just go, I think Milo, I'm not sure, whatever the one the cat was, there was a scene where they needed a bunch of cats because they kept dying.
Yeah, they just
trying
went
to film
through
the
animals.
scene,
Yeah. Yep. They're like, throw this one on the pile.
New
We need
cat.
A new cat, please.
New Otis!
I'm going to take a break. If you want to text for something, 35192 to get me there, AlanCoxShow.com. You can watch and listen anywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
It's the Alan Cox Show. Everywhere on our free